Hey guys,
Veronica,
Andrew,
and Nate here. We are
Foodies Watching Movies,
a podcast dedicated to
awesome movies,
great food,
and that's about it.
Check us out on the JIC network at www.journeyintocomics.com.
Maybe throw some money over to our Patreon.
So we can eat this week.
And now, your feature presentation.
The following
is
Journey into Comics.
Journey into Comics.
It's a Journey into Comics.
Journey into Comics.
Journey into Comics.
Journey into Comics.
Network.
Production. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is episode 16 of Puhr 360, the show that covers topics of importance and just general topics that are going on in the world that are worth discussing here on this program. As always, I am your host, Andrew Puhr, and I want to thank you for joining me. This show was one of the few that weren't performed live at LaffyCon, so obviously there's no audience here. This show doesn't really lend itself to a live, in front of people format. Maybe depending on the topic it would be more interesting, but it's kind of more one-note. It's more of a discussion between me and you, the audience, as it is to lending itself to a live interactive space like that. So, I know I spoke last week when I was talking about the cathedral and the Notre Dame Cathedral, that this week was going to be on the Mueller report. That was the intention. The week got away from me and I wasn't able to actually read the report to actually provide a good opinion on it and comments. But I actually went through a bit of a interesting personal experience while at LaffyCon, and then something happened with back in my hometown on Facebook that they're all kind of tied together, and I thought that would be a good topic for this week. So this week's episode is actually going to be on Prejudice. So now, you're probably wondering, well, actually, you probably know what prejudice is, but just as a refresher, for those of you who don't know, now, prejudice is an affective feeling towards a person or group member based often on that person's group membership. The word is often used to refer to preconceived, usually unfavorable feeling towards people or a person because of their political affiliation, sex, gender, beliefs, values, social class, age, disability, religion, sexuality, race/ethnicity, language, nationality, beauty, occupation, education, criminality, sports team affiliation, or other personal characteristics. In this case, it refers to a positive or negative evaluation of another person based on that feelings. That's based on that person's perceived group membership. So prejudice can also be referred to unfounded or pigeonholed beliefs, and it may include any unreasonable attitude that is usually resistant to rational influence. Gordon Allport defined prejudice as a feeling, favorable or unfavorable, towards a person or thing prior to or not based on actual experience. For the evolutionary psychology perspective, see Prejudice from an Evolutionary Perspective. Awestad from 2015 defines prejudice as characterized by symbolic transfer of a value-laden meaning content onto a socially formed category and then onto individuals who are taken to belong to that category, resistance to change and overgeneralization. Prejudice can also be classified as a reaction to a race and or culture based purely on experience. So, here's the situation. I'm going to talk about the kind of the negative one first and then the positive one after. So, this kind of took a little bit, kind of just a hometown experience that kind of blew up on social media while I was at LaffyCon. So, there's a restaurant that I've been to a few times growing up that it's a burger joint that's it's really good. I've gone there on a few occasions. I've brought Liz there. They make good food. It's one of those like local burger establishments that has a loyal fan base, like a following. People always go there. When some people come to visit the town, if they're former locals or if they're from out of town visitors, they always want to check out, get it, just because it's a unique food choice, like unique burgers that the way they make it and the fries and all that. It's just really good food. But something kind of come to social media, as we know, we're in the age where people get upset about a lot of things. Some are unfounded, some are justified, and I've had friends on Facebook and stuff they've kind of been split. There's been people that have been against this, people that have been for this, and people that think that the other group. So it's gotten very negative and hostile, and I just kind of want to throw my two cents. So let's get the context first. So This is actually over just a bumper sticker, which you think really wouldn't be a big deal. So, this restaurant, I don't think it really matters if I tell you. If you are from the Midwest, you may have, or from Central Illinois, you may have heard of this restaurant. If not, you're probably never going to check it out, so it doesn't really affect you any. But this restaurant is called Gross Burgers, which is located in Danville, Illinois, or near Danville, Illinois. It's kind of, I grew up in Danville, but this might be in Oakwood. It's a little further east towards Indiana. So, there's a bumper sticker that's a United States Marine Corps bumper sticker that's says USMC on the side, and then it says, if you can't, big red, can't see, an apostrophe T, read this, which is pointing an arrow to, which looks like Arabic writing. And then it says, if you can't read this, and then on our side in big red bold letters, thank a Marine. So, that's the controversy. This is supposed to have been, and sorry, I kind of didn't know that. It's Gross Burgers. The owner of the burger joint, his last name is Gross, so it's his burger joint, but it's kind of weird that you're going to go to a place called Gross Burgers to get your food. So that's that whole thing, in case you were confused. So this is from the local paper, an article. It says, a message at a restaurant is getting a lot of negative attention. Some say this message is offensive because it makes it seem like there's something wrong with speaking Arabic, or we are protected from people who speak Arabic because of the armed forces. The owner of Gross Burgers, Brad Gross, says the sticker was not meant to be offensive. The bumper sticker has been in my restaurant for more than a decade from a Marine that served in Iraq. He brought it in and asked me to put it up, and I said, sure, go ahead and put it up, and it's been there for all these years. Says Gross, despite recent flack about the sticker, Gross says a lot of people in the community have still been supportive. So, like I said, it has been up for over a decade, and honestly, I've gone in there a few times since it's been up, and I've never even noticed it. So I'm assuming some person saw it, got offended, took a picture of it, put it on social media, and then it kind of caught traction, and people who've gone there either double down on the fact that this doesn't matter, or people got upset and threatened to, like, if you do it. Some people did the whole thing as, I don't care what their beliefs are, the food is good. It's kind of the same reasoning as, remember when Chick-fil-A, kind of like their owners were very anti-LGBTQ, and people were boycotting it, but people also, they really like the food, and they put them in an awkward spot. So it's kind of one of those situations. So, yes, you're putting your taste for a certain type of food or a certain way it's made over your beliefs by going there, but since he didn't put it up, he's obviously not going to take it down. But I feel like you're getting upset over a sticker. It wasn't like he was chanting that while making your food. It is just a sticker, and this is kind of how prejudices come. Yes, the license plate itself is prejudiced by saying speaking Arabic, writing Arabic is a negative, and that the Marines are protected from that. So it's kind of saying that it's putting two sides. It's that is the enemy, that is something you do not want. Then it puts you in that kind of perspective, like, oh, because of the military, we're protected from people who speak Arabic. And the fact that we can't read it is a good example of, like, our military is taking care of us. So it's the people who are pro-military who think that people who are against this are against the military. It's people who think that people who speak Arabic and people from the Middle East are kind of a scourge, for example. That they're something that's considered negative, that they don't want that around, who they don't want people here. The same people you see that are yelling at people in a restaurant for speaking a different language than English, like people that say, this is America, speak English, even though America was always the great melting pot, and a bunch of different cultures, and people came here to escape persecution. Even we came to America originally to escape religious persecution because of the Protestant faith, and obviously a lot has happened since then. That's hundreds and hundreds of years ago now. But I think we're putting too much stock in an inanimate object. This is kind of how prejudices are formed. Obviously, you're putting negative stuff against this guy who claims, yes, he didn't put the sticker up himself. And if you've been in there, It's not like it's an out of place thing. He is a former military man. The restaurant itself is decorated with a lot of military signs, posters. I believe there's a Humvee kind of strapped to the ceiling, or like a fake Humvee, and there's bushes, people in not people in ghillie suits, but there's like mannequins in like ghillie suits and military attire. So it's not like it's not out of place there. It is a very pro-military establishment, and their food is good. Yes, I disagree with what the sign says. I don't think speaking Arabic is to be considered a negative by any means, but I also think that people are blowing a bumper sticker out of proportion. Like, if you see, like, if it was on your receipt, for example, then it's just taking it a little bit too far. But it literally is, you're getting upset over an 8-inch by 2-inch, well, that's probably a little bit small, like an 8-inch by 4-inch piece of plastic adhesive that has writing on it. Seems like a little much. So that was kind of my 1-2 cent story. So it is a central Illinois thing, and it's caused a lot of heat, and hopefully it dies down. I'm not to say I'm never going to go back there because of this message, but I'm not going to go there specifically because of this message. I'll probably forget about it well before I go back to that restaurant, but I don't live down there anymore. Many times I've been back since I haven't gone there. I probably haven't had that restaurant 3 or 4 years, so it's not like I'm putting a stand for or against it by not going. It's just not convenient, and I usually don't think about it when I'm home. So that is that. So now to the other part of this story, which involves a recent experience that Liz and I had on our way home from LaffyCon. So we left LaffyCon a little bit early because we had to get back because it's Sunday. We had to pick up our dog from where it was being kept. We had to kind of wind things down, get our stuff together for the workday on Monday. So I'm recording this on Monday, so this all happened yesterday. So we're driving along. We are about an hour or so away from Lafayette, Indiana, where LaffyCon was held, where the whole network was kind of assembled to do this. And while driving on the highway, just going roughly the speed limit, I noticed I couldn't accelerate, which is like, oh, that's kind of weird. I was in the left lane. I was trying to go to pass a car, and I just was not getting any momentum. I was just, pedal was going down, nothing was happening. I was actually losing speed as I was going. So Liz was asleep at that point, so I said, Liz, I think we got a problem. So I pulled over, left the car running. No warning lights came on. The car wasn't overheating. I popped the hood, checked it out a little bit, checked some of the fluid levels. Nothing I really could say to figure out why this was wrong. My first instinct was that it was possibly the fuel pump, because I had that experience in my car. I was driving Liz's car at the time, but I had that experience with my car. Was driving along, the fuel pump went out, and I couldn't do anything. The car essentially shut down. But this was a little bit different because the car was still appearing to run fine. I just couldn't get the gas pedal to give me any forward momentum. So I shut the car off. I'm a AAA member because when Liz and I went to a travel expo, there was like sign up for AAA for like $20 for the first year or something like that. So it was pretty good deal. It's like, even if I don't use it, it's still $20, and like there's like jump starting, some towing options. They have travel assistants. You can call them if you're in a kind of a predicament. So I was thinking, they're like, well, we're stuck here on the side of the highway at a mile marker between towns. Like, it's not like I can push this off a ramp to, or it's not like I can push this down the street to a gas station and figure it out from there. Like, we're literally kind of in the middle of nowhere. So called Liz had her AAA card, so we called the number, explained our situation. They arranged a tow truck, and it was a Sunday, so all mechanic shops are essentially closed. Like, most mechanic shops close midday or around noon on a Saturday, and then don't open again until Monday morning. So Sunday Sunday was right around 4 o'clock Eastern time when this happened. So we're kind of stuck there. They're able to arrange towing, but they called area mechanics places, and none are open. We looked on Google because we had service. Nothing open. We got a hold of one guy who said he was open, but he actually was not. He wasn't able to help us out. So, unfortunately, we were stuck. Like, we were 2 hours plus from home. We obviously can't tow the car all the way there. That's AAA covers a little bit in terms of mileage, but it's like $6 each mile after that, so it would have been like almost $1,000 to get us the rest of the way home. So that was out of the question. It didn't make sense. So we had our car towed, because with AAA we got like 6 miles of complimentary towing, or like you pay like $20 instead of like the usual like 150 or whatever it's going to be. So they towed us. We found a mechanic shop that had good ratings, that was nearby. It's like 4 miles from where we were. So parked it there, called them a couple times, left various messages. We called them once when we were stuck on the highway. Originally they said they were open, and that's a whole other thing. AAA was a little confused. But we parked there, got it all kind of situated, left a message saying like, we're stuck here for the night because obviously we can't go. There's no rental car place. We were stuck in a super small town, so no cabs, no rental car, no transport of any time to get us to a place we could stay. We ended up walking to a restaurant, about 15 minutes to a restaurant that we could eat at, charge our phone, kind of get our bearings, get a little something to eat and drink, and kind of figure out what we're doing, because we're not going to try and get transport back home. We'll have to be back the next day to deal with the car. So we ate, we got food to go because it was still early enough. It was like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. We weren't really hungry because we had a late lunch, and we didn't want to be just stuck and we just didn't want to be stuck somewhere. If we end up getting transport to a hotel, we don't want to be stuck without food. And have to kind of raid the vending machine. So we got food to go, and we tried Uber and Lyft, and since we're in the middle of nowhere, Uber and Lyft don't help us out. Like we eventually got one person, but that was, I'll kind of get to that in a little bit. So I called the hotel that was nearby that was decently rated, and it was a Baymont Inn. We stayed the days and night before, so we're all kind of staying in that Wyndham hotel chain family. So we talked to the lady and said, like, is there any cab company or anything that we could use? And she said, no, there's not a cab company, but you can go to the police station and see if they can help you out. I was like, that's an odd request. Like, you don't just typically go to a police station and be like, I need a ride, because what car are they going to take you in? The cop car? The answer is the cop car. So they were very nice. Put us in the back of a squad car, so that's an experience I have. And they are not comfortable. I will say that now. I have long legs, and I was crammed first behind, because we had to, obviously, our bags, like our book bags had like our clothes and toiletries and stuff in it, were still with the car. So the cop had to take us to the to our car to get our stuff, and then take us the rest of the way to the hotel so we can have a place to stay for the night until the next morning. So first time I got behind the cop so it was right behind the driver's seat, and yeah, there's literally like 6 inches of space between the metal backing of the cop car behind the driver's seat and like the seat cushion itself. So I have big feet, I have long legs. I was crammed in there, and my legs were killing me for that short drive. So there's a little bit more room on Liz's side, so I got in there. I could barely get my feet in and out. I feel like I was going to break my leg or twist my ankle trying to do it. So either way, we got in there. It was fine. It was awkward because we're literally in the back of a squad car in the middle of nowhere, and no one really knew where we were. Like, we had let Liz's parents know what had happened and what we were doing just because they were expecting us later that night. So Squadron took us to get our bags, and then took us the rest of the way to the hotel. We got checked in, kind of just unwound, had our dinner later, and then slept the next morning. The mechanic place called, are your keys in the box? And we were so flustered and kind of just drained from the weekend itself, plus everything that happened, that I didn't think to throw Liz's keys to her car in like the little key box, so you didn't have to be there to necessarily for them to work on it. So we were in the same situation. We were stuck like 5 miles from the mechanic shop at the hotel. Like, it was like the mechanic shop was in town, the hotel was right off the highway, just for, out of town guests, people that are traveling. So went down to the front desk. Like, first we tried Uber and Lyft again, just fingers crossed maybe that's going to work. And it was 7 a.m. on a Monday. No one was going to help us out. So we went down to the front desk and asked, and actually the hotel maintenance person was able to give us a lift. He had a truck. He was a really nice guy. He took us out. Was able to let us grab some quick breakfast from like the continental breakfast that most hotels have. So we got like our cup of coffee or like a muffin and kind of went on our way. Got to the mechanic shop. Gave him the keys. I took it in. Checked it out. Apparently the battery had died because we either left the hazards on or something was left on and the battery just died. So they jumped it, let it run inside, took it around the city, out on the highway, ran it out just to put it through its paces to see because they weren't finding an issue. So he came back, looked at it some more, and said, basically, I can't figure out. He asked me to describe what happened. Said they have no warning lights. They put the little they put the thing on the computer to check the error codes, and they had no history. They had nothing that would raise any concern. And basically said it's the electronics for the throttle body, which controls as the pedal, it opens the flap that allows the fuel to flow. That I'm not going to get into the details on it, but basically it's kind of what I was describing. He said it's probably the electronics on that, and possibly just shutting the car off, letting it cool down, warming, and then starting it back up, kind of reset it so it's working properly again. It's he said, I'm not the type of person who's just going to throw parts of the problem in hopes that it fixes it. It seems to be working fine. Took it on the highway, drove 3 miles in one direction, then 3 miles back here, and I had no issues, nothing to report, no warning lights. It says, I think you're fine. Obviously monitor it because I'm not doing anything to it. So he got us fixed up. They had $60 just for their time to check it all out. And then we were on our way and finally got home safe and sound. And I will say, we were in middle of nowhere, Indiana. And obviously, you think of people in the Midwest a certain way, this is we're kind of in hit country, or these people aren't going to be able to help us. If we were in this situation, in a big city, obviously we wouldn't have the similar type of problems, but we wouldn't have people that's helpful. But anything we ran into, we had people to help us. The tow truck driver was able to, since we didn't know where to take it because he knew very well that there was no mechanic shop open, so, he took us to one place where the guy said he could maybe help us, but he couldn't help us. He actually talked to him on the phone and was like, hey, he's not coming out today, it's a Sunday. So from the tow truck driver who helped us out to the lady at the restaurant who kind of understood our plight, to the hotel lady who gave us some odd advice. We were really lucky to be kind of stuck around such nice, sincere people, and that was it gave us a small town vibe. And even if we had to walk 15 minutes to get to our restaurant, we got helped out. We could have been in a much worse spot. It could have been literally a barn and a tractor near where we were, and we would have been kind of SOL. But I think we're grateful and we're happy that no one took advantage of us. No one put us in a weird spot. We didn't have to call in any favors to try and make things work, and we were able to kind of coordinate with our jobs to make sure things weren't too crazy on Monday. So I just want to say that we were thankful for all of that, and I think that's something that when people think of Prejudice, that you can always think oh, it's small town, they're kind of backwards, they're hicks, they're going to be weird to outsiders, and we got none of that while we were there. They really gave us a good experience, and I think I'm pretty well happy with how everything turned out now that we're back home and everything's getting back to normal. And I think that's where I'm going to leave Puhr 360 for this week. Just that there's always two sides to every story. There's always a position that you might not be fully aware of, and sometimes doing that little bit of extra research or just putting yourself in their shoes or seeing an experience from a different way can really make things in a nicer light and really can kind of help mend the divided world that we live in today. So for Puhr 360 for this week, I am Andrew Puhr. You guys have a great week. You've been listening to Puhr 360. You can find us on the socials at Puhr 360 on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can find us and all the other podcasts on our network at JourneyIntoComics.com or early access at Patreon.com/JourneyIntoComics. You can find us on all podcasting platforms like CastBox, Podbean, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, and many others.